Okay guys, so I wanted to talk a little bit about wool again here. So we've been talking about a lot of wool products and a lot of products to keep us warm in the outdoors. We've bantered back and forth between very high cost items and lower cost items and so on. We're trying to give everybody a just kind of a good overall education on products, right? So that we're more informed when we go out into the world to get something to keep us warm when we go out into the wilds, because most of the people that watch this channel, not all, but most of the people watch this channel either are outdoors people or they were. Okay, maybe they're a bit older, they don't go out anymore, but they still enjoy the content because, you know, it gets them reminiscing about things. And then maybe they'll just get up and go outside and do something anyway, chop some wood just for fun and exercise, right? Nothing wrong with that at all. And it's also a good enabler for coffee drinkers, because I drink coffee all the time, and I think that gets people interested in having a cup. Alright, so I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't my opinion. This is after a lot of years of use and research in wool. The very best wool for outerwear, and you could say whatever you want. You could say whatever you want, but you will not convince me otherwise, okay? Because I have not just studied wool products with these particular wools in them, but I've studied the hair fibers and stuff, right? So it gets down to actual fibers. And we talked about people that think that they're allergic to wool in other videos. It's quite possible that you are not allergic to wool, but if it's just scratchy, then you're not allergic to wool, okay? If you get a rash, then you're either allergic to the wool or you're allergic to lanolin, if there's lanolin in that wool. Okay, that's the way that you're going to find out if you're really allergic. Otherwise, it could be just scratchy. Okay, but the very best wool, okay, for outerwear, okay, these are the two very best. Chevio from the Chevio sheep line, and Shetland from the Shetland sheep line. These are Scottish sheep, and I believe that they have Chevio in Spain and other places now too. So why? It's not just me saying, okay, there's a why behind it. Alright, why is that? And first we're going to tell you how it's going to feel. Okay, if you get a coat that's made from Chevio or Shetland wool, it's going to feel a little scratchy. Because the hair, the wool hair, is coarser, okay, and it's thicker. It's tougher than most other wool out there on the market. Okay, so it has a helical form to it, the Chevio. I'm sure that the Shetland is somewhat similar. I can't remember, it's been too long. But I know the Chevio has like a very helical shape to it. So, and it's thick. Okay, it's, 27 to 33, is the thickness on it. And then Shetland is a little bit thinner, not quite much, but just a smidgen on thinner. And you got pretty long fibers, right? The fibers range from medium to long. So that means that when you weave them, when you weave everything together, there's more cohesion, right? It's staying together better because you got the medium and long fibers. Some wool is not as good because they use cheaper short fibers, right? So it's coarser and it's thicker, and it's invariably tougher, okay? So it will be scratchier than something, a piece of outerwear like this. This is made with merino wool. It's soft. This is not scratchy at all, okay? Now, what is usually made out of this? This is a higher end wool too, okay? So the fact that it's scratchy doesn't mean it's a low quality product. This is a higher end wool. So they generally will make Mackinaw wool fabric out of it. Generally, you can make Mackinaw wool fabric out of other wools, but when you're looking at outerwear, the best wool for outerwear is Mackinaw wool fabric and Melton wool fabric. And Melton is what the peacoat is made out of. And a lot of military blankets are Melton wool. Okay, so we will talk about the blankets here in a minute too. So then you'll say, well, what's the deal with merino? Well, the thing is we got all of these people out there in the world that they just can't handle any kind of a little bit of a scratchiness on their skin, Well, okay, but let's leave that wool, Cheviot and Shetland. Let's leave that for our coats. Let's leave that for our outerwear, right? And now when we go to underwear, right, next to your skin, we go to merino. Let's weed merino out of the outerwear. Let's weed it out. I think that's a good idea. But, I'm one person in this wide world, right? Now, most of your wool underwear is merino. It should be merino wool if it's not, okay? And you got various percentages from 50% to 100%. I have 100% merino wool underwear. So yeah, the thing about merino is what? The fibers are finer, so they're thin, right? And they're soft. Okay, they're usually using knits, right? So, usually using knits. These over here, usually used in heavy fabric for outerwear. Alright, so, if everybody's got those notes taken, we'll move on now to blankets. So, for years and years and years, okay, there is this false statement in the world, and since there's the internet now, that false statement is spread everywhere. U.S. military blankets are 70% wool and 30% synthetic. That is not true. I'm here to tell you right now. So when the company that makes the blanket makes it, they make a whole roll of fabric, and of course they generally will cut fabric to different lengths to make different sized blankets, right? It's on a roll. It comes out, okay, this is going to be such and such blanket. Chops it off. Okay, this is going to be such and such blanket. Chops that off. And they just keep going until they've got a piece at the end of the roll that doesn't conform to any of the blanket sizes that they make. So, what do they do with that remnant? It's reclaimed wool. Reclaimed. And that 30% of the U.S. military blanket is from reclaimed wool. Okay. And then you say, well, then what is the difference? It's still wool. Why don't they say 100%? Because they take all remnants that are at the end of the roll and they shred them up. So they just pull them all apart in a violent manner. So you don't have these nice fibers like you do when you first make a garment, right? So that reclaimed wool, all that shredded wool of various lengths of fiber and stuff, that 30% is what the 70%, 30% U.S. military blanket is. So that 30% is that reclaimed wool. So that's why it's called 70-30. I'm talking about just the U.S. military blanket here. I'm not talking about everybody's blankets, because you could have a manufacturer that has 80% wool, 20% dog hair from Pakistan. Alright? Do you see what I'm saying here? Just to give you an idea, if it comes out of a third world country somewhere, it's not necessarily real wool, right? So this right here, it could be other stuff, right? This is a bean, quote unquote, rag wool sweater, and it's supposed to be 100% wool. But I believe it's made in China. So, you know, there's these American companies that sold out on us, right? Anyway, I don't buy any more bean or Woolrich. I've got a couple of these, and I've got a couple of Woolriches, and that's it. Not buying any more, because they're making their crap in China, and I don't want it, right? So we cleared up the blanket myth. I hope you understood that. If you're unsure, all you have to do is ask me. All right. And I got that information directly from the companies that make the blankets. All right. So just letting you know, because I was very curious, like everybody else. Well, what's the deal with this material? And, you know, that's the way you research things. I mean, you go to the source, right? Go to the source. If you want a drink of water, it's better to go to the well than it is to go downstream somewhere in a creek, because somebody may be peeing in the water upstream. That's why you filter your water, guys. All right. Catch you in another one.